We all know what a bear is. But did you know that that word doesn't actually mean bear? It's a Germanic word thought to come from an Indo-European word meaning the brown one. Linguists believe people began referring to the animals with this description rather than by their name out of fear. It's the same kind of taboo avoidance that has Harry Potter characters calling the series villain He Who Must Not Be Named or the Dark Lord instead of Lord Voldemort. The original Proto-Indo-European name for bears, which I won't even attempt to pronounce, became the root of words like Arctic. But because people avoided calling bears by their true names because they feared summoning them, the word meaning the brown one eventually replaced it. Hi, I'm Erin McCarthy, Editor-in-Chief of Mental Floss, and this is The List Show. The word bear is just the first of 25 animal name origins we're going to be sharing today. Let's get started. Even the Old English word for these insects is simply a combination of butter and fly. It's unclear how exactly butterflies got their name, but some sources claim folklore about butterflies stealing uncovered dairy products is to blame. Another less exciting theory suggests it's because so many butterflies have pale yellow wings. Horse likely comes from the Old English word hors. There's also hras in Old Norse, hors in Old Frisian, and oors in Middle Dutch, as well as similar words for the equines in other languages. How all of these words came to mean horse remains unknown. We get pony from the Scottish powny, meaning very small horse. That comes from the French poulet, or little foal, which has roots in the Latin pullus, meaning young of a horse. And though it's true that ponies are small, they are not actually baby horses. Baby horses and baby ponies are called foals. Hippos aren't equines at all, but horses did inspire their name. Hippopotamus is simply Greek for river horse. While hippos do spend a lot of time in rivers, you shouldn't attempt to ride off into the sunset on one. They're one of the deadliest animals in Africa. Porpoise comes from the Latin word porcopiscus. It's a combination of porcus, meaning pig, and pisces, meaning fish. Ah yes, the pigfish of yore. My favorite animal. The word aardvark also includes a reference to pigs. It's an Afrikaans creation that translates to earth pig. It's a mishmash of the Dutch aarde, meaning earth, and varken, which means pigs. All we need now is the fire pig and the air pig, and we can form the avatar pig. Meerkat also comes from Afrikaans, though the same word in Dutch actually refers to a sub-Saharan African monkey called the guenon. It's unclear how meerkat came to refer to the mongoose species in Afrikaans. Until the 14th century, an adult rabbit was commonly called a coney, but by the end of the century, people began referring to young ones as rabbits, which may have roots in the French word rabat. People began favoring rabbit over coney in the 1800s after Brits began using the latter word as a synonym for some distasteful slang. Zoologically speaking, there are no native rabbits in the United States. They're all hares. But the early colonists, for some unknown reason, dropped the word hare out of their vocabulary, and it's rarely heard in American speech to this day. When it appears, it's almost always applied to the so-called Belgian hare, which, curiously enough, is not a hare at all, but a true rabbit. Squirrels owe their names to their fluffy tails, which they often use to help shade their bodies. Their name comes from the vulgar Latin scuriolus, which translates back to the Greek skia, meaning shade or shadow, and aura, meaning tail. Like squirrels, foxtails also inspired their names. Fox comes from the Proto-Germanic word fusaz, which comes from the Proto-Indo-European word puck, meaning tail. But to answer the age-old question of what does the fox say, you'll have to travel back to 2013. Cat, as a word for domestic felines, traces back to the Latin cata and the Byzantine Greek kata. Some suspect those words have even deeper etymological roots in Egypt, where the species was first domesticated. Similar variations of the words crop up in different languages, like these. Spider traces back to the Proto-Germanic word spinthron, meaning spinner. That has roots in the Proto-Indo-European word spen, which means to draw, stretch, or spin. Fun fact, since the late 19th century, spider has also been a verb meaning to catch or entrap after the manner of the spider, and later came to mean to move in a manner suggestive of a spider. You will not catch me doing either of those things. The name for this snake comes from Greek mythology. Python was a huge serpent Apollo killed. After the god slayed the beast, he left its corpse to rot in the blazing sun. Python therefore traces back to a Greek word that means to rot. Octopus has a fairly obvious origin. Octo means 8 and pus means foot, so the name is just 8-footed. And if you're going to refer to multiple of these creatures, contrary to popular belief, you should go with octopuses rather than octopi or octopodes, if you're going by AP style guidelines at least. Moose get their name from an Algonquian word that translates to "he strips it off," likely a reference to their tendency to take bark off trees. It's a loan word, which explains why the plural of moose is simply just moose and not mooses or meese. And for any exotic dancers out there looking for a stage name, this one will really hit with your etymologist clientele. Hedgehogs, as their name suggests, live in hedges, but the tiny, spiky creatures don't really hog them. The hog part of their name describes their pig-like noses, not an inability to share. We get crocodile from this Greek word, a combination of words meaning pebble and worm. The Greek writer Herodotus wrote that this name initially referred to lizards that lived among the rocks on people's farms. But after Greeks went to Egypt, they gave the name to the giant reptiles they spotted along the banks of the Nile. Alligator is a more recent word. Unlike crocodile, which has roots in ancient Greece, its first known use didn't come until 1591. But like crocodile, alligator has an association with lizards. It comes from the Spanish el lagarto, which translates to the lizard. That said, neither alligators nor crocodiles are lizards. We get skunk from this Algonquian word, meaning urinate and fox. A skunk stinky spray isn't urine though. It's a chemical-filled liquid produced by their anal glands. So, not better. Rhinoceros is a combination of rhino, meaning nose, and ceros, or horned. Its name is therefore just nose-horned, which is a pretty apt description. Koala comes from Aboriginal Australian words for the animal, like kula and kula. Though they're commonly called koala bears, the bears aren't bears at all, but marsupials. Adorable marsupials, I might add. Dingo comes from an Aboriginal Australian language called Darrick. It actually means tame dog. But when English settlers arrived in Australia, they began using the word to describe the wild dogs that roamed the continent. Lemur comes from the Latin lemurs, meaning evil or malevolent spirits of the dead. The name is thought to be a nod to their nocturnal behavior, or maybe something more nefarious is going on with these little guys. We'll end with how our species name came to be. Human is rooted in the French humain and the classical Latin humanus. Both mean of or belonging to people. The words separate humans from both other animals and divine beings. That's all the animal name origins that we have for you today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.